My previous film was very much based in contemporary period in Paris, so I felt like diving back into a previous period, the time of my childhood and youth, and to capture something of that time, its sounds, its colours. This was the initial feeling, but I don't know, it was different. Well, Mikhaël is the answer. It's his sensitivity, his screenplay, which is very specific, and also I discovered his way of working, of shooting a film. I got the feeling that we understood each other without having to say a lot. It was very... He's a character that I could really go into the depths of emotionally, the intimacy. It's softly, the soft approach. And it was my meetings with him that convinced me. He's a very special person, Mikhaël, and I don't think I know him really well today yet either. But certainly, when you want to do one of his films, it's immediately clear. It was very spontaneous, I would say. I didn't talk a great deal to Mikhaël, or rather, he doesn't talk much. But it was quite pleasant. Radio is, yes, one of the elements that made me want to do this film. I think it doesn't exist like that anymore, but we do have these nighttime voices still, which are like links to those old memories, which are very poignant, and it triggers a whole load of collective memories. For example, the studio, one of the elements, it's not that I wanted to really address broadcasting as an issue, it's the radio culture that always fascinated me. And of course, in the 80s, rather towards the end of the 80s, there were more and more channels, more and more radio stations, as she says in the film. For a long time, that's all you had at night, radio. It was a way for people to communicate with each other nocturnally. And also the music, of course, music is a passion of mine. That's not unusual. You hear songs in my films. They're the films I heard in my youth. Is there anything triggered by a song? No, but I listen to a lot of music. And I think that does influence you subliminally. It influences my writing, certainly. I think albums I listen to a lot in some mysterious way permeate the film later on. Again, it's the cinema of my childhood. I don't know, it's a bit mysterious, but the novels, the albums, the films, I have a very specific attachment to these things. And sometimes I look at cinema makers, filmmakers, novelists I like, and very often it distills around those years, from 82 to 88, probably because I was a child and I didn't have direct access to those, so maybe I've mystified them in some way later on. And also I grew up with, yes, Les Gamines and those films. They were running when I was a child, when I was a teenager. So perhaps they're also, it's cinéma d'auteur. There's a bit more confidence, intimacy in those films. I think all of us like relationships that last. It's magnificent. Something that creates the relationship for me is my admiration for Miguel, which is huge. And that's why we place confidence in him. Of course, I enjoy his everyday cinema. He fills my life with it. He enriches me. And I'm very happy to say so in public. With a lot of my collaborators, we've been working together since my first film, maybe 15 years. It makes you quite vulnerable making films, but it's such a collective adventure. It's so authentic, and everyone brings in their own sensitivity, but we make the films together, and that strengthens me. That's how I can make films.